Eclipses play in pairs, and the lunar eclipse on September 7th in Pisces, it gives us clarity on the nature of the crossroads that each of us are finding ourselves in at this time. And this includes whether or not to fly or to fight with our own personal dragons. And if you didn't catch that episode, then the link is in the description below. The cosmic encouragement to fly couldn't be more obvious because this solar eclipse is accompanied by the very powerful astrological alignment of the astrological kite. Now, we've had a few of these this year, and the red line in the picture above, it represents the tension that is created by the opposition in this alignment. And this tension represents something that we would prefer to avoid, but if we have the tenacity and the courage to face it and to embrace it, will lift us up to new heights. It will up-level our circumstances. And with this solar eclipse being right on the south node, the thing that we are most likely wanting to avoid is the fact that all evidence is pointing to something or someone that it would be best for us to let go. With the solar eclipse being in Virgo, and Virgo associated so strongly with our health as well as personal sovereignty, it's very likely that many of us are going to be called to let something go that either is an unhealthy habit, an addiction, or some sort of circumstance or relationship that doesn't support our own personal independence and personal identity. The theme of this solar eclipse being associated with new beginnings and endings is only amplified by the degree that it is in, which is 29 degrees. 29 degrees is at the very tail end of the sign of Virgo. And an alignment is most powerful when it first enters a sign and when it exits a sign. So this is making this portal, the solar eclipse portal, ultra potent. Virgo is all about organization, elimination, and assimilation. This is one of the reasons why it is associated with our intestines. So the message is very clear here. Keep what is useful and leave the rest. And for those of us who the change is more in the realm of self-expression, independence, and changing some sort of circumstance or relationship that in some way either doesn't align or even invalidates us as an individual, it's very possible that the change may show up in our careers or how we present ourselves publicly, because the solar eclipse is right on top of the midheaven. In fact, many of us will find ourselves analyzing and even scrutinizing our careers, our livelihoods, and how we express ourselves in a big way over the next 6 months. The lunar eclipse on September 7th brought the crossroad, and the solar eclipse initiates the crossing of that crossroad. The decisions that we make at this time will have permanent ramifications, and this is especially true for those of us who are born somewhere between 24 and 30 degrees in your sun sign or your ascendant in Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces. Now, Uranus and Pluto aren't typically thought of as being the most harmonizing of energies. Uranus is associated with radical change, big upheavals, aha moments, and even in miraculous events, but it's always like a lightning bolt of change. Whereas Pluto is associated with the underworld, the subconscious, and secrets, things that are hidden. And wherever it touches, it brings things that are hidden to the light. But ironically, these two planets are what are causing the harmonious energies within this kite, and that's symbolized by the blue triangles that are in the picture above. This tells us that if you want to bring more harmony, you want to bring more balance, that it will be in our best interest to embrace change. Now, I've noticed that when the universe wants us to get a message, it will usually repeat itself. And in this case, this is no different, because not only do we have one kite, we have two. The one that we've been talking about so far has been the one where the sun and the moon is at the tail of the kite and Saturn in Pisces is at the top of the kite. The other kite has Mercury at the tail of the kite, and it is in opposition to Neptune in Aries. Now, both kites are asking us to reassess our identity and our personal self-expression. With Mercury being at 5 degrees in Libra, Mercury is about the intellect. It's how we process information. Mercury is about how we communicate. And Neptune rules over Pisces, and Neptune is about imagination, intuition, and spiritual connection. And with it being in Aries, Aries is about personal sovereignty, the personal self, independence. It's one of the things that it has in common with Virgo. And with it being at 0 degrees, that's the cosmic egg. It's the new beginning that has not yet birthed itself. It's still gestating. So here we're being asked to go within and to find fresh new inspiration. Perhaps create some sort of spiritual connection, to foster a spiritual connection as well as a connection with our intuition that will give us new, fresh inspiration. So go within and find out what's there. A fresh idea, a new vision for the future, a new philosophy, a new perspective, or even an intriguing question that is open for debate. All of these things have the capacity to transform our partnerships, our communities, and how we express ourselves. And it may even change how we see ourselves and what we consider our identity to be. Now, perfectionistic Virgo, which is what the sun and moon are in right now, it's going to resist this unstructured, undefined nature of this environment. All new beginnings, or the new potential for new beginnings, are often undefined and messy. And this is part of what that Virgo energy might resist. So this is where we can lean into the aspects of Virgo that are a little bit more supportive of this undefined, unstructured, new potential of these new beginnings, this new phase that we are stepping into with this solar eclipse. And this is the aspect of Virgo that's about discernment. This is about that assimilation and elimination aspects of Virgo that I was mentioning earlier. So one of the things that we can ask ourselves as we are going within and discerning what needs to be allowed to let go and what needs to come with us is asking ourselves is what it is that I'm analyzing right now, either it be a relationship, a behavior, or a circumstance. Is it binding and confining me, or is it freeing and refining me? And if you are finding that you are at a crossroads that is intimidating, anxiety producing, if it is making you sad, scared, or grieving, then I'd like to offer you this. Kites give us more bang for our buck energetically. Every time we take a tenacious act, every time that we take the high road, even if that road is one that we have to blaze ourselves, every time that we do the hard thing, that because it's right instead of the easy thing, a kite will make sure that if we embrace the winds of change, that we won't get blown over, and instead we will soar to new heights. And in this case, we have 2 sets of sails. So with that being said, let's see if the tarot has some additional insight into how we can best leverage this solar eclipse. Okay, so this first card is telling us where we've been, and this is the Knight of Swords. So the Knight of Swords is a knight that's associated with the air element. The air element is associated with our intellect, our mind, how we understand things. And in this case, this is really insinuating that we have been feeling somewhat disorganized or impatient. That in some ways we kind of been putting the cart before the horse, so to speak. And so we've been wanting to rush into things, and we have found ourselves actually almost at like a stalemate instead. And it's been probably feeling really frustrating that despite our best efforts, despite wanting to just kind of move through things already, We've been finding ourselves with delays and stagnation. So all of that energy is starting to organize itself, and that's the good thing. And this Knight of Pentacles, this is that Virgo energy that we have coming in with the solar eclipse. And the Pentacles is the earth energy. Virgo is a earth sign. And the Knight of Pentacles is the most like step-by-step, process-oriented, dependable, reliable, and whatever seeds it is that he plants, whatever objectives it is that he sets his sights on, rest assured he's going to get there. It may take him a bit longer than it would take this guy here, the air element, who moves really fast, but the roots that he sows are going to be deep, and they will be permanent, just like the ramifications of the decisions that we are all going to be faced with over the next couple weeks, and in some cases, especially for the really big decisions, over the next 6 months. And so this reorganization, so to speak, almost kind of like pausing for a moment, getting our bearings, and then moving ahead, it might be causing us some self-doubt. That is the Page of Pentacles reversed. So that's the thing that can really get us in the way, especially because part of what may need to change for a lot of us is we may be finding ourselves in relationships or group dynamics. This could be a job, it could be a place of worship, this could be friendship circles, what have you. Really could be any group. They're just not supportive of who we're wanting to become or where we want to go anymore. So when the Six of Pentacles is upside down, it's like the relationship is just not reciprocal. You may be finding yourselves in situations where you're being asked to give more than the other party is willing to give to you in return, or you just may be asked to give more than what energetically, monetarily, or physically is available to you. So there's just this reassessment of those relationships. And that is part of this restructuring nature that this Knight of Pentacles is bringing in. The summary card for all of this is that the way through is by cultivating new habits, new skill sets, and to perhaps even take on new hobbies or areas of interest. And that is the Eight of Pentacles. The Eight of Pentacles is going to give us something tangible to wrap these more like etheric, spiritual, psychological changes that are going on. So, this could be even artwork. Sometimes what is really helpful, because a lot of times in astrology and tarot, we talk a lot about like spiritual and personal development, and these usually have a lot of emotional, psychological themes to them that can be somewhat intangible. So the key here with the Eight of Pentacles is saying that make the intangible tangible. Get it out of your head and get it somewhere in a physical space, whether that's through writing, through drawing, through creating some sort of art, creating a business plan, a strategy. Write it down, put it in a picture, putting it in a painting. Take action on whatever it is that's gestating within you, and get it out in the open somewhere. And that is what's going to create a more like structured environment for energy and changes that when they're kept inside, when they're kept internally up in our head or in our heart, that sometimes they just can swirl around and not really take any kind of of structure. So it's real. This solar eclipse, I guess if I were to summarize it, it would be structure the change. Create some sort of structure for your change, and that will then make the next little toehold for the next step in this new phase, this new beginning. It will make it seem a little bit more secure. That's the Knight of Pentacles. It's earth element versus something that is flighty, that's airy, which is Swords. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining me here today. And I will see you in a couple weeks when we will take a look and see what this next full moon has to offer us after this really potent month of eclipse energy. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.